Welcome back to Two People in a White Box. I'm your host, Caitlin Osteen.
And I'm your other host, Elise Sandlin.
Today we have a name. Elise, would you like to explain how we got our name?
Yes, so Two People in a White Box. It's fairly new because as of our first episode, we did not have a name. But basically, you know, it came from when we were editing our first podcast episode. And we're in the newsroom here on campus, you know, just fiddling around with stuff. One of our friends comes over and he's, you know, kind of a tech guy, digital guy, and he was helping us edit. And he was looking at our video and he was like, y'all really need to come up with like a logo or something to maybe put behind you so it's not just this white space. It's not just these two white people in a white box.
Two white people in a white box.
Or two people in a white box. And we just looked at each other and we were like,
that's the name.
That's our name.
Yeah.
Two people in a white box. He was like, you don't want to just be two people in a white box?
We were like, yes, we do.
That's exactly what we want to be.
Yeah, 100%.
So here we are in our white box. It's a different white box. There's a couple podcast studios on campus. So we might be in this one.
We reserved the wrong one on accident.
We might be in the other one. It just depends on the day.
You know how in our last video, if you were watching online, or if you were watching on the podcast, you can still, or listening on the podcast, you can still hear the knock. Well, we were almost those people because we thought we had it reserved. But we didn't. And we didn't knock. We weren't
didn't
those
interrupt
people
anyone.
Because we're nice people.
We are. But
Not
we did have this
parts.
room reserved. Both of them are available to us, so it kind of just depends on the day on which white box we'll be in. But we'll be in a white box.
I'm not really a fan of the lighting in this white box, though, so
the lighting in all the white boxes are bad.
It's not the best. It's not the best lighting.
We do with what we can, right?
Yeah, true.
So, today, last time with our introduction, you know, it was our first episode, we kind of just walked through why we became feminists, why we became so passionate about it, went on some rabbit trails, just talked about, you know, our beliefs as feminists in general, and then really went into Christianity and feminism, which is really something I'm passionate about as a feminist and a Christian. It's super important. But today, we teased this in the last podcast episode. Today we're going to be reviewing this magazine. This is the front. Let me show y'all. It says The Stand. Real Men, page 18. So here we are on page 18. And it says masculinity.
So we're going to learn about real men and masculinity. I'm so curious to see if we agree with this, disagree. I think you've kind of read some of it before, but I've never read it before.
I briefed through it. My wonderful, beautiful mother gave this to me, and she highlighted some spots that she thought were important and just wanted me to like read over it. And I was like, we'll read this on our podcast. And she's like, cool. So Mom, if you're listening, thanks.
Shout out.
She does
to Elise's mother.
She's one of our best listeners. Thanks, Mom.
One of our only listeners.
Thanks, love you. Anyway, which do you want to read through it, or do you want me to?
Either one is fine.
Which parts do we want to just kind of look over the parts that are underlined?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I'm just gonna go for it, y'all. So, masculinity. It's God's good gift, Christian scholar says. What does that mean? So, it's by Joy Lucas. According to 2022 U.S. Census Bureau statistics, 1 in 4 American children currently live without a father in the home. These 18.3 million children also struggle with education, behavior, mental health, including much higher incidence of suicide, violence, teen pregnancy, and substance abuse. For fatherless boys, the statistics are even worse, with only half as many graduating from high school and twice as many incarcerated by the age of 30. So that's some background. If the lack of a father in the home is the root of so many of our social issues, then why is there still such an obvious all-out assault against strong male role models in America? Moreover, what can the church do to stop this attack on the God-ordained model for strong families?
Interesting.
Shall we having some thoughts?
Shall we start now?
Maybe we should start
finish
down here because that's kind of like a break, you know.
Okay.
So, professor, speaker, and author Nancy Pearcey believes the battle plan begins with purposeful parenting of boys that does not deny their masculine nature or try to eradicate it, but instead channels it in ways that are honorable and productive.
Okay.
We like honorable and productive.
We like productive men.
In a recent interview with The Stand, Pearcey discussed, and other timely topics from her latest book, The Toxic War of Masculinity, How Christianity Reconciles the Sexes. Interesting. So this was the interview, The Stand. What prompted you to write this book? Nancy says, I was stunned to see how acceptable it has become to attack men openly. The Washington Post ran an article titled, Why Can't We Hate Men? In some feminist circles, a popular hashtag is Kill All Men. Anyway, you can buy t-shirts that say, so many men, so little ammunition. That's rough. I don't support this.
No.
We are feminists. We don't support that.
We don't support that.
We love men. Books have appeared with titles like I Hate Men, No Good Men, and Are Men Necessary? Oof. Is that true?
No.
Like,
I have some thoughts. Keep going.
Okay,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
No wonder a survey found that almost half of American men, 46%, agree with the statement. They agree with which statement? That men aren't necessary?
No, I think they agree with the statement that we hated on.
I mean, if men don't think they're necessary,
I guess they're not.
Then why am I to argue?
They would know best. They would know.
Literally a joke. I love men. These days, society seems to punish men for just acting like men. What is acting like a man, though? That's the question.
That is the question.
I wrote The Toxic War in Masculinity. This is still Nancy talking. Partly to explain where this incredible hostility is coming from. We cannot effectively respond to a social trend unless we know how it started and how it developed.
Fair enough.
Interesting.
Okay.
None other parts are underlined until the next page, so I'm just going to skip
so
over
we're
them.
gonna go into it.
What are your thoughts so far?
Oh goodness,
I think we definitely have them.
I have so many thoughts. So first of all, I partially agree. I mostly disagree.
Which with part, Nancy, or the articles that say men aren't necessary? Which part are we agreeing?
I'm with Nancy. Not that men aren't necessary. Some men aren't necessary. Most men are necessary.
Good men.
Good men are necessary.
Good people.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like there's definitely feminists that hate on men. I used to be one of them. But I was also like,
I don't think we talked about that last
old.
time.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did. We talked about how
Did
we
we talk about hating men?
I don't think we talked about how much we hated on
We'll
them.
get into how much we hated men. We'll make an episode called We Hated Men. Why we thought men weren't necessary to society. No, we are better now. I don't think most feminists hate men. In fact, I think the definition of, or maybe not the definition, but I think what a lot of feminists stand for is equality, or at least that's my understanding. I mean, there's definitely extremes to each group, and you could find that for any group. I feel like with feminism, you naturally, like, people naturally take the extremists and are like, see, this is what it is, when it's not. So that's my opinion of that. I'm going to turn this back over.
Yeah.
I think that masculine nature, I don't think that people are trying to stop people from being masculine. First of all, I don't like that word because I'm like, what does that mean? You know, what is masculinity or femininity? But I would say that the conservative definition of masculinity is probably like strong, a leader, a guider, someone who's a protector. And I think that I've never met someone that's anti that. I think what I'm anti is when people are putting themselves above women. So if they're saying like, I have to be a leader and women can't be leaders, or if they're using their strength to push women down and not listen to women or not value women, or the toxic strength of I can't cry, I can't show emotion kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
we talked about that last time.
Yeah, but I've never really thought to myself like, I don't want someone that's strong, or like I'm trying to make men weak. Like I don't think that that's what the feminist movement is about, is making men weak. I think that it's taking their strength and kind of being like, here, you know, be protectors in this way and help women, and, you know, like, let's all be equal, not putting them down. But I mean, I definitely think there are feminists that put men down, but there's also the same, I mean, I'm sure there's books out there that talk about how women aren't necessary. I've heard multiple comedians talk about how women aren't necessary, you know?
And at some point, you do have to kind of take the joke, because there are jokes out there, like, we don't need those jokes, I'll be honest, but it's not serious.
Men make it about us, too,
exactly,
you know?
Like, so you do have to kind of take some things as a joke, you know, we can't, as a society, we can't get offended about everything, but also, I do think the true definition of feminism is that men and women are equal.
Exactly.
Men are a huge part of that equation. To be equal to someone, it means that we really hold them in high respect. We just want to be treated the same.
Yeah.
As a woman, you know? And
like, we think you're awesome. We just want to be on the same page.
Yeah, I freaking love men. And masculinity, I mean, I don't think it's just strength, because, you know, I want a strong man, but I also want to be a strong woman. And the way I show my strength might be different than the way that my boyfriend shows his strength. But that's also not the way it's going to be for every man or woman.
She said it.
My boyfriend, I came out. Anyway, so yeah, not, you know, not my man, not my men.
Your man. Her man.
My many men.
Her man.
All my men have been very strong. They have been very strong men, and I really value that in man. You know, not just dating, but as a friend. And I value that in my female friends as well. Just strength in general. I do think sometimes men, their strength shows in a different way, maybe like a more masculine way.
I do agree. Yeah,
and women's
as a
strength shows in a more
protector
feminine
almost.
way.
I mean, we all love
we talked
protectors.
about that last
We did,
time.
yeah.
How like I wouldn't want to be the one like protect. Like if a guy pulled up on me and my boyfriend in the street with a gun, like he's gonna be the one naturally that just goes, I got you, you know, and I'm gonna be the one that's like, not that that's how it should be for everybody, you know.
Well,
that's
no,
just
and
how
I think that women should protect their men as well, you know. Like if you're seeing your man just getting beat to a pulp and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna run now, bye. Like that's not good either.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that we definitely have our strengths, and I was talking about this with one of my coworkers actually about how, you know, that women aren't as strong as men. Most women. I mean, there's definitely some women out there that could
like,
physically beat
but
some men
then
up.
you got to
know?
define the physical
Exactly.
strength.
But that's exactly my point. Is that like, well, yeah, but we can bleed every month, and we're still
and
like,
carry children.
Yeah, and
which
push
is one
them
of the
out
most
us.
painful things ever.
Yeah, it's genuinely like I don't feel like you can define strength, but like as far as protectors go, I would say they're better protectors, and they should definitely take care of their wives and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I think. I mean, like for me, I mean, I've been told by a lot of my friends who are women, they're just not as feminine women, and like that's fine with them. They don't have to be. But I do have like a very like feminine energy. Like I'm all like. I mean, if that's femininity, I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe that's something like research that we need to do, you know.
Yeah.
But I own like I mean, if femininity is like, if it is, I don't know. People might have disagreements, and please, you know, leave comments, dial in, email us, whatever.
Dial in, call us.
You can. I mean, but like if femininity is, you know, doing your hair, makeup, and wearing dresses, and you know, being like softer and less like. You know, then you know that is like there's nothing wrong with that, and I do think I have a very feminine energy, but I'm also like a very strong person. I'm very independent. I'm very like self-reliant. I'm very strong. I can outrun, outswim, outshoot anybody. Like I can do things. I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
And I would always consider myself a very strong person. But I am like attracted to like masculine men.
Yeah.
You know, men that also like take care of their bodies and can defend me, and I know would protect me, would take a bullet for me, and can provide.
And I would say most people are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with even being a softer man either. But I've never met someone, and I realize that we live in the South. And there's not a lot of feminists around here. First of all, that's another thing. I was always told that, you know, everyone's a feminist. And it's like, I've barely met any feminists, actually. Most people aren't. But, I don't know. I don't feel like I've ever met someone that's like, I hate men. When there's not enough men. Like, now I have seen people on social media that say, you know, better watch out, men. We can start, like, impregnating ourselves and stuff like that. I have seen that. So I won't deny that is true, and I definitely can understand that you might feel attacked, but I mean at the same time I've also felt attacked by men. Yeah. So like I feel like it's just a natural thing. Now should we put an end to it? Absolutely. But would I say that feminism is the thing that's
I don't think feminism is the cause.
Yeah, I don't think
I think a lot of those women honestly that or people in general that just have a bad taste of men is probably because they've been exposed to the bad ones.
Yeah.
Because there are
just like us.
And I'll talk to men who will be like, women are conniving and manipulative and two-faced. I'm like, you've just met the wrong
Someone
one.
I work with calls all women psychos.
Exactly.
It's just become a joke now, you know? I'm like, okay, well, you just date the wrong people.
Exactly.
What do you expect?
I mean, because that's like we talked about. That's how we were. I mean, when I was 16, I was ranting to my boyfriend at the time, talking about how much I hated men and how men only wanted me for my body and how they were just these like awful, like not kind, not loving people, whatever. And he was like, I love you.
Yeah, okay.
And like he did. He was a great guy, you know. And I've had to have met good guys to understand that not all men aren't good. And I think the people that do preach no good men, like right here, I hate men, no good men.
Yeah.
They've probably just met the ones that aren't, because it's true, there are a lot of not good men.
I mean, it's so true.
So,
go on. Let's get into it. I'm gonna grab my hot cocoa. Is that bad for the podcast?
No, go ahead. Grab your hot cocoa, girl. Okay, so the interviewer goes on to say, so this is when we bring Christianity into it again. which is just a super important thing for me as a Christian. What role should Christian women play in this current cultural battle? So what is our role in helping men not be hated?
Interesting.
I guess.
Let's hear it. I'm excited.
So the interviewer, or the interviewee, Nancy, says, women can help by encouraging men to fulfill the high ideals that men already hold.
Ooh.
I think we do that though. Because
Interesting.
I hold high ideals for all humans, and so I think I encourage.
That's true. You encourage
fulfill
success for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A few years ago, anthropologist David Gilmour conducted the first ever cross-cultural study of concepts of masculinity. He found that virtually all cultures share a common ideal of what it means to be a good man. Interesting. I wonder if their definition of good man is different from good person. That is the thing. It's
That's
like
true.
good woman, good man. Are those two different?
Yeah, or is it the same?
See, to me, it's not. But let's see what they say. Where was I? Whatever their differences, they all share the expectation that a man should perform what he calls the 3 Ps: protect, provide, and procreate. That is, raise a family. Okay, well, protect, that's what we were talking about. There is a more protective nature in men often. And provide, we were talking about
I
that.
think everybody should provide for each other.
Yes.
So like, I don't think that the man should carry the load. I mean, I've never met really someone that believes that way, but I think that if the woman wants to provide too, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
Procreate is kind of sad.
Well, let's see what they say about
Okay.
it.
I love that you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. That's
Let's
amazing.
get into it.
I love that.
Because men are made in God's image all around the globe, they seem to understand that their unique masculine strengths are given not to get whatever they want, but to support those they love.
Oh, I love that.
I do like that. Support us.
Yeah, support the ones you love.
Our goal should be to affirm and encourage men in recovering their innate sense of God's original plan for manhood.
What is God's original plan for manhood?
Maybe they're going to get into that. Let's keep reading. So the interviewer says, explain the subtitle of your book. Well, okay, it doesn't really seem like, it looks like they're going on a different topic.
It says how Christianity reconciles the sexes, so maybe male authority in the home. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go into it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So explain the subtitle of your book, How Christianity Reconciles the Sexes. So that's what the interviewer asks this Nancy girl. Nancy says, critics of Christianity claim the ideal of male authority in the homes turns men into chauvinists.
I don't know what that says. Chauvinistic.
Journalism major and I can't read words.
Chauvinistic.
Chauvinistic. Abusive patriarchs. The problem with these accusations is they ignore data from the social sciences. Okay, so let's read that again. Sorry. Okay, so critics of Christianity claim that so male authority, people who are criticizing Christianity claim that male authority is what turns men into abusive patriarchs.
Yes.
Which it can.
I was about to say, like,
but it's
I'm
true.
sorry, as a critic of Christianity,
it can turn
agree.
anyone. Literally, absolute power corrupts absolutely anyone in power can become
100%.
patriarch. Anyway, abusive patriarch or matriarch, you know. Have you seen the Barbie movie? They're low-key very... They're
The
abusive
Barbie movie,
matriarchs.
Everyone should have to watch the Barbie movie for school.
And then they learn and everything, you know, everybody
Everything's
learns.
good. I don't know. Did they learn? Who knows?
All right, the problem with these accusations is they ignore data from the social sciences. Studies have found that compared to the average American family man, evangelical men are the most loving and engaged husbands.
Okay.
The wives were interviewed separately, and they were the most likely to report feeling loved and appreciated. Evangelical men are the most engaged with their children, both in shared activities like sports and church youth group, and also in discipline enforcing bedtimes or limits on screen time. Evangelical couples are the least likely to divorce, and surprisingly, they have the lowest rate of domestic violence of any major group in the U.S. One of the nation's top marriage researchers, sociologist words, Brad Wilcox from the University of Virginia, wrote an article in the New York Times saying, it turns out that the happiest of all wives in America are religious conservatives. Interesting. Fully 73% of wives who hold conservative gender values, I don't like that word, conservative gender values, anyway, and attend religious services regularly with their husbands have high quality marriages.
Wow.
This is just one woman's opinion and some researchers, you know, we're just getting into it. Okay, so we'll skip the little part that's not underlined. The next part is, how should the church approach this toxic war? Nancy says, churches need to get the word out. Church leaders frequently tell us that Christians are just as likely to divorce as the rest of society, but that statistic is false. Researchers went back to the data and divided evangelical men into two groups, those who attend church regularly versus those who are only nominal Christians. The difference between these groups are stunning. Nominal men's wives report the lowest level of happiness. These men are the least engaged with their children. Nominal couples have the highest rates of divorce, even higher than secular men. And the real shocker, they report the highest rate of domestic abuse and violence than any group, even higher than secular couples. In a Christianity Today article, Brad Wilcox summarized his findings. The most violent husbands in America are nominal evangelical Protestants who attend church infrequently or not at all. It seems that nominal men hang around the fringes of the Christian world just enough to hear the language of headship and submission, but not enough to learn the biblical meanings of those terms. They interpret the words through a grid of male superiority and entitlement that they have absorbed from the secular world.
I could not agree with that last little bit that you read more. Like
I do agree with that.
I really do agree with that a lot.
No, because that's huge, because that's kind of what we talked about last week.
Yeah.
How people in the church really do take the Bible's meaning of submitting and the role of the husband and the wife, which are not that different really. At the end of the day, it's loving each other, it's submitting to each other, it's submitting to God. But a lot of people in the church kind of hear like, oh, I'm the man and you have to submit to me.
Oh, and they love that.
And they love that because it gives them permission from God, but they don't actually have a relationship with God. They actually don't spend time in the church. They don't understand that the real role as a man, like we talked about last week, is loving your wife as much as Christ loved the church, was literally giving himself up for her, dying for her, submitting to her. I mean, it's the same thing. And so I like that, because I think there are those men that say like, I'm a Christian because I know biblical beliefs, but they don't understand the true meaning of it. Maybe they go to church once in a while just enough to hear that wives need to submit, and they really take that and they do become the most abusive, and they have the most unhappy marriages. I mean, that makes complete sense.
I would agree with that, and I mean, I would definitely agree with that. They're more. I at first thought this was saying that they were more that secular men were worse than Christian men, and I was like, I don't agree with that, but I do agree with the fact that Christian men that don't really go all the way into Christianity are definitely the worst. And I mean, I would say also a part of that is that if you're truly going full on into Christianity and you're truly practicing it, that you have something that you're motivated by. You're trying to become the best Christian that you can be, and you're trying to represent God the best way you can be, so you're going to be a better person in that way. That doesn't mean that you're better than a secular person, but I mean, I would definitely see that, I guess. I don't know if that made any sense.
I mean, I do think like a huge thing in true Christianity is loving people and sacrificing yourself for them. And if men and wives, husbands, wives, men, women, friendships, like whatever you're doing, if you are motivated by loving and giving and sacrificing, then it's going to be a beautiful relationship regardless.
I agree.
And that's the most important thing about Christianity, and it's sad how many people miss that. So if you're watching this and you like had a bad experience with Christians, then just know if you're in this video,
if you're in this room and you've had a bad experience with Christians.
But literally same. I mean, me too. I texted you this the other night, but I went home and I was talking to my parents, and my parents are really great Christians. I mean, I've been raised by really amazing people, but I've had a lot of bad experience with Christians and been hurt by a lot of Christians who don't love. They judged first, and they judged me so deeply. Yeah. And I am a Christian. I can only imagine how people who aren't Christians have felt judged by Christians. But I was talking to my parents about it, and they just get a little upset because they're like, well, we're Christians and you're just kind of acting like all Christians are bad. I'm like, I'm not saying all Christians are bad. My experience has been rough with a lot of Christians. So I just want to give hope to anyone who's out there listening that like, just because someone who claims to be a Christian or even is a Christian and is lost and needs to get right with Jesus, because even Christians get lost. If they need to get right with Jesus, don't blame God for what Christians have done. Because I did that for a really long time, and it was really, really hurtful to me because I felt like I was distanced from God just because these Christians had kind of pushed me away and treated me like crap. But that's not the case, because God is love. He's so full of love. And I think the biggest thing for Christians is to love. It's not really our place to judge. I mean, stay true to your morals, stay true to what the Bible says and what you believe. But it's not our place, I feel like, to be like, that's wrong, Like, God's going to do what he needs to do. Our job is to be instruments of love, And that can mean different things for different people, different instruments make a band, we can't all be the same instrument. But you got to do what you got to do to love people the best that you can.
And I love that too, because I definitely think out of the two of us, I'm the one struggling more with it. I feel like, Thank you. I appreciate you. Because Elise gives me so much hope, But yeah, I mean, it is hard, but I mean, I feel like it's not necessarily Christianity that it's just that it's like when you grow up in something, it's what you're around. And like personally, I don't know how you were raised, but I was raised in a sense of like I hung out with all Christians. Like my family kept me away from people that weren't Christians and people that weren't honestly like going to church all the time. Like my parents kept me away from that. So I feel like that's why I'm kind of more like hurt by that. I feel like it's like you're hurt by what you're around, you know? So I was around Christians and now I'm around people that aren't necessarily Christians and I'm like, oh, you're not hurting me. So it's easy to kind of divide the line and be like, I'm not hurt, I was hurt, you know, it's Christians.
And see like what's different. This is not that, and what's different between the two.
But that's not necessarily Christians, because you can, if you grew up around all people that weren't Christians, or amazing Christians, then you might not be hurt by Christians. So it's really, I feel like it's okay to say that you were hurt by a certain group of people, because it's like, that doesn't mean I'm angry at the whole group. Like, I've met some really great Christians, but I was hurt by them because that's who I was around. Exactly. I was around them all the time.
Because I always say, like, you are what you experience. And to me, like, that was just my experience. I mean, I was talking to my boyfriend the other night, saying how, like, I've made really deep friendships with people now that are not Christians, aren't raised the way that I am. Many of them belong to the LGBTQ community, and I was raised so differently from that. You know?
Oh, I was too. Like, I thought, I don't know. I just was totally anti-LGBTQ, and now I'm like, oh, like we can be friends with anybody.
Well, I was really raised that way, and like that was the only thing I knew, you know. But I have. Like my closest friends now belong to that community, and I love them so deeply, and I've felt more invested from them, like more invested into than I did with my Christian friends. And it's astounding to me, because you know that I was always told it was going to be different. Like your true friends were going to be the people that believed like you, and they know I'm a Christian. We talk about it openly, but I just love them for who they are. I love their soul, and they love me for my soul, and I think it's so beautiful.
I love that.
And I've been told a lot, like the world really judges Christians. I'm sure that's true. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Christians that have felt judged.
I haven't felt it though, honestly.
I never have.
I feel like Christians judge the world more than the world judges Christians.
That's how I'm saying.
And it's like the world expects the Christians to judge them, and when you don't, they're like, oh, well,
they're like, oh, you're
fine.
Cool. Yeah. No, that's really what I've experienced, because the friends that I've had that don't believe anything like me, they've just heard what I have to say, even if they disagree with it. We just have these open conversations, and I'm the type of person that is like, I will not judge you. You do you. When I feel judged by you, that's when I pull back. And I related it back to when I was a little kid, when I was like 5 to 12, I had these really close friends, and they were the type that felt really called to wear long skirts. Yeah. And I never thought that was weird. People made fun of them for it a lot, because they just wore long skirts every single day. Even when it was hot, or they were running around playing tag, whatever, it was just long skirts. And they were my buddies. I didn't think anything about it. Other people I knew kind of made fun of them. I was like, they can do what they want. But it was when they started looking at me in my little short shorts, and they started saying comments about me and what I was wearing. That's when I was like, I can't be friends with you anymore. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of Christians that are a lot more uptight about things than me, and I respect that. It's when they started looking at me and saying that I was wrong, that I was going to hell, whatever it was, that's when I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with like most people. I mean, there's definitely people out there that judge, but it's not, I would say the majority of people will really hear you out. Because I mean, I was the same way. Like, I don't drink, you know, and I was always told like, people are gonna make fun of you for that, and I'm like, if you just come at it with like, I don't drink, but I don't care what you do, people are like, okay, cool, whatever, like, and they don't care. I truly think people don't really care what you do. Like, as long as you don't affect their life. Now, there's always gonna be bullies, but like, I don't think people care.
Yeah, as long as you show that you're not like looking down at them for having a different path,
then they're fine.
Because we all have different paths. Like I said, we all could be different instruments to make a band.
100%. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was told, like, when I went to college, I was told secular college will change you. And I actually sat down with my parents the other day, and I was like, I don't think secular college changed me. I think that secular college allowed me to talk to people that I had never talked to before. Like, I had never actually sat down in a room with someone that was a part of the LGBTQ community. Yeah. So I had never, like, experienced it. And then sitting down with people, I'm like, oh, well, that changed my opinion. So it's not that, like, college changed me, it's that...
Your experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Because your experiences 100% make who you are. And, like, a lot of my Christian friends that I'll talk to have never had close friends with lesbians or gays or transgenders. Like, they've never had those deep connections with those
so they
people.
Can have that judgmental.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, sorry, I've never met these people.
Yeah,
I love my friends, and I see people on such a different level. It's like I see their soul, I see who they are, and that's how I want them to see me. I don't want them to see you know, who I'm attracted to or what my sexuality is. I just want them to see my soul.
Yeah, most people don't hate you because you're Christian. I'm just saying, I don't know.
I don't think I've ever had anyone that said anything rude about Christianity to me. Thankfully, I'm really happy about it. If they did, I'd be like, listen, Jesus is amazing.
Yeah.
But I've never had that experience. Like, I love Jesus, and everyone knows it.
I don't know. I don't understand some of these stereotypes that come with it, but I don't know how we got to that, but...
I mean, it was a good rant. I will say, we love our good rant. I will say, with those people, and you know, where I'm at in my life right now, I've had a lot of hurt from Christians.
Yeah.
So I'm a little about it.
Yeah.
But I used to be that way about men, and
that is I love that point.
I mean,
I love that.
It's huge. It's really important for me to realize that, because I mean, I remember, like I said, being 16 and ranting to my boyfriend. I hated men so much. I was so bitter. I was dating somebody, but I hated men. Bless his heart. He really put up with all that.
He tried, yeah.
And he was probably the first guy that made me realize that not all men are like that. And I'll forever be thankful to him for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he really, like, loved me deeply and didn't just want me for my body, and stayed committed to me, and just treated me so well. And, you know, I needed to have that. I needed to have that experience, and then close guy friends, other close boyfriends. I needed to have that to know that it wasn't all men. And, you know, maybe right now I feel like it is all Christians, but it's not.
Yeah, and you just need good Christians around you.
And they're out there, and we will find them, because, like you said before, nobody belongs in a box. You know, Christians don't stay in that box. Men don't stay in their box. Everybody is unique and different. And it's just about finding the good people, because they're everywhere.
That's so true. And I definitely have some bitterness built up against Christians. I'm working on it.
And that's okay.
At least it's helping me. At least it's helping me go through it. And it's not even, I don't know, it's not Christians. I guess it's like Christianity. You know, like, it definitely was a lot for me. It's always so funny, because I was a pastor's kid, and I was always like, no, I'm not the stereotypical pastor's kid. And now I'm like, I struggle with Christianity. You know how it's like, pastors' kids are usually a stereotypical wild child. I'm not a wild child at all. Like, I'm very like I said, I don't even drink alcohol. Like, I'm over here chilling, you know. But like, I definitely
married young.
Yeah, I am the stereotypical like innocence. But like, I do struggle with Christianity, which like I didn't see coming, really. I mean, I guess I should have seen it coming, but like I didn't.
Yeah.
But it's because I feel like it was really shoved down my throat that like I needed to be a certain way as a woman, and that's something where it's like, you know, you can have your opinion, but don't shove it down someone's throat. But it was very much force fed to me. So I
think, like, I mean, you know, we've talked about how we've grown up and like how we viewed ourselves as women. I think what hurt me more growing up was how I viewed men, and then obviously as I got older, the men I met were amazing, and I didn't view men so negatively. It was when I went to college. I was already pretty grown, and it was the Christians that I met, and a family of a boyfriend that I dated, and the way that
boyfriend, I love that.
A boyfriend, who knows which one?
Which one? We'll never find out. We'll never know.
It was the family, and it was the friends that I met that really made me feel like, as a woman, I was put in a box.
Yeah, you were less than.
And I was less than, and they never said sit down and shut up. But the way they treated me, the way they acted about things I did, that's how it really felt. Like, it made me feel like I needed to sit down and shut up, or I wasn't being a good Christian. And
what gender was the people, or the majority of
mostly
people
women
that put you down?
Yeah, which is another thing, because I was over here like all men and all women, and I was like, wait, there are a lot of women that don't support women, because you know, I was told that there were going to be like a lot of girl drama in my life growing up and stuff. I had wonderful female friends, and I've always had wonderful female friends. The experiences with guys weren't as great, and what I was told guys were going to be weren't as great until I met the good ones. And then I met the good ones, and I was like, oh, men are great. Then I met some bad women.
Oh, there's tons of bad women.
And then,
there's tons of women that want to.
It's like it's not about gender. It's not about gender. It's about who you are, what are your beliefs, how do you treat people, and that was a huge thing that I've learned. And now I'm so steadfast on nothing is based on gender. I don't understand why some women don't want. I don't know why some women put women down, but I mean, we need all the women and all the men on our side. Please and thank you. Let's just support equality. I'm on men's side on so many issues. You know, like I really. And that's something too, is that people talk to me and I think they're surprised, like, of
I genuinely, when I say I believe in equality, I mean it. Like, I'm fully, like, I'll stick up for men over women if women are in the wrong all the time. You know, like, there's things like men have brought up, like, the court system, you know, that's unfair. And I'm like, I'll stick up for you in the court system. Like, I think there should be equality in that. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why there's so much conflict, you know?
I know. I mean, I think a large part of that, I believe, is that women have been in that box, the white box.
The white box for so long.
They have really been in a box for a long time because of society, and we had a lot of areas we needed to grow. So I think kind of having that history of damage and pain, it doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
And that's how it is for like anyone that's experienced inequality. There's always going to be the past that's kind of nagging on our minds. So I think that's why it's a lot harder, and a lot of women do overcorrect, be like, we hate men, we don't need men.
We were one of them.
We said, we were one of those people. We all just need to grow and show love.
Yeah, we were little when we did that.
We were like 16.
So if you do hate men, like this article says, then you really need to mature, like we did when we were like 16.
You need to meet some good men.
Yeah, meet some good men. We'll introduce you to some. We know some good men.
And I got lucky. I mean, you know, high school boys can be, but I got a good high school boy.
And I got a good husband. So
yeah, you did.
I forgot my ring today.
It's not the ring.
I know. I've been forgetting it lately. I've been keeping it like on my nightstand. I usually keep it like by my door. That's such a, I don't know why I felt the need to mention that.
Now we know where she keeps her ring. That's sweet. Well, you know, I kind of want to ask, what made you want to get married so young when you were not someone that ever wanted to get married and did not like men? Like literally a couple of years. I know, you know, he's a great guy, obviously.
Yeah.
But what made you want to get married, even more than just him being a great guy?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know if I want to get into this. Let's get into it. Okay. So first of all, we met when I was 16.
Yeah.
And I was like, at 16, we just said this. I was totally anti-man. Like, I was totally like,
same.
But I still had crushes. But I was so anti-man.
We love that.
I still had crushes on guys. But I had a huge crush on him. I was like, oh my gosh, he's perfect. I want to talk to him. So we started talking, and I was like, oh my gosh, he checks all of my boxes, like, of everything I want. Because I had like I was weird. I had like a list. Like, a full list of like, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this.
I've never been a list girl.
Yeah,
I just fall in love with who I fall in love with.
I haven't been a list girl either, but like I wrote it when I was like 14.
Aww.
But anyway, one of them was like, he has to be like for equality.
Yeah, obviously.
Anyway, so I was like dropping all these hints. I was like, you know, strong women, blah blah blah. And he brought it up. He was like, so what do you think about submission? And I was like,
that's a nasty word.
I'm not for it. And we like totally talked about it, and he was so like, he listened, and he like, we talked about it back and forth, and then like we kept talking about it, and he just kept like listening. And I was like, oh my gosh, first of all, a man that listens about this is crazy. And like we'd been talking for like a long time at this point. Anyway, so I just kept falling in love with this man over and over again. Like, he kept listening. He was always like for equality. It was amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. So, and not to mention we like to do all of the same things. Anyway, we just kept hanging out. I felt more and more in love with him, and he completely changed my perspective of men, which is crazy. But I don't want to get into. I feel like I might have gotten married too young. I told my parents this. I wish that I'd moved out before I got married. Like, I do wish that. But at the same time, it's like everything worked out, so it's fine. Like, I wouldn't change anything. In fact, now that I know how it worked out, I'd be like, oh man, I wish I'd married him younger, and I could be with him longer. But like, I do think I don't know.
Just
now
have
that
that
I look back,
time on
and I'm
your
like,
own.
oh wow, I did get married like pretty young, because I did change so much after we got married. And he adapted with me, which worked out so well. But I was like, man, if I'd changed and he hadn't changed, or whatever, it would have been really bad.
You got lucky though.
I got lucky, and man, that guy is so perfect. I love him so much, so much. Connor, if you're listening, I love you so much.
Oh, you finally name dropped him. It's fine.
Whoops.
It's not like it's like a bad situation.
Yeah,
it's really your husband.
If we're ever famous,
I can't name drop any of my men that I've mentioned.
Don't bitch with your men.
I'm not name dropping all the multiple men.
Good job. Impressive. I wonder how long it'll take you. But yeah, getting married young, I think just, you know, he completely changed my perspective on men and on marriage. And I was like, oh, it's more of a partnership, and it's more of, you know, you help me, I help you, versus like a submission thing. Because if he hadn't changed my perspective on that, I mean, I would still be single right now.
Yeah.
But he changed my perspective on that, and just, I saw that, you know, marriage was a partnership. Marriage was really, all it is just being with your best friend and sharing a bank account and making life decisions together.
And living together.
So, yeah. So, I don't know if that ramble answers your question, then
No, it does.
You know,
It's crazy because, both of us, I feel like we're those girls that never wanted to get married.
Yeah.
And I always fell in love so deeply. I've loved very deeply the people
she's
that
a
I've
very
been.
deep lover.
Hopeless romantic and feminism,
Yeah.
They constantly kind of contradict, but they also go nicely together.
Strong, independent woman that's totally dependent on her man.
Yes, because I've loved so deeply the people I've been with, but I've never really wanted to get married, even as deeply as I've loved the people I've been with. And I also think it's because I'm young, and I've always been very career oriented. And it's like I always want to go to the big city and find the career, and everything.
You have the second I met Elise, I think it was the first day. She was like, I'm moving to New York City. I don't care who tries to get my way. I'm moving to New York City. I'll be homeless under a bridge. I'm moving to New York City.
I still will.
It was my first day meeting you, and I was like, okay, cool. She's moving to New York.
I still want to. I've wanted to since I was 10.
She's going to.
I will.
You're going to move to New York. By the way.
Thank you.
I will make sure. I'll pack your bags. This is your dream, girl. Go
Drive
on.
me up there,
Get in the car.
Drop me off at my bridge. I'll be homeless under.
Here's a bridge. Pick a bridge. Any bridge you want.
The Brooklyn Bridge is the prettiest one.
Yeah, okay.
Thankfully, I got to go to New York City in January. I'd never even been.
She just knew what she wanted. This is a girl. That's the thing.
And it's beautiful.
You're emotionally, you've got such a deep emotional soul, and you know what you want. So yeah, you've fallen in love a lot.
I've fallen in love twice. I don't even count the ones before.
Yeah.
The original high school. You know that high school boyfriend. The ones before they don't even count.
Yeah, but you do
He was
love.
my first love.
You love very, very deeply. It is really funny that you loved so deeply and still had.
And still couldn't get married.
Yeah.
And they wanted to marry me. So
everybody wants it. Elise has men dropping dead at her feet.
No, I don't. There's been two.
There's just gonna be random men in Walmart. They just pull rings out of their pocket. I'm telling you.
That actually has happened before. It's so funny you say
that.
What? It's so funny that you used Walmart and that very scenario because it literally happened. Random guy.
Tell the story, please.
A random guy at Walmart, literally, I was looking at rings and the random guy literally just came up and grabbed one and proposed.
I totally knew that. That's why I brought it up. That's insane.
It's really funny that did happen. Indeed.
That's crazy.
Anyway, I said no,
Yeah. You did? Wait, what?
Yeah, I had a boyfriend.
You're not married right now?
Who
knew?
No, I have a secret husband. Surprise
and a boyfriend.
I'm just one of those,
Which one does it? They
both know about each other. They just love me that much.
That's good. She's poly.
I'm literally kidding. I'm such a one-man woman too. That's the thing, y'all. That's the thing.
Well, we would hope.
So yeah.
I'm still stuck on this proposal, sorry.
Yeah, it was really epic.
Yeah.
I was so flattered, but
So how do you feel about marriage now? For yourself, obviously. But or for other people. Come at me. Let's go.
So for after being in 2 long-term beautiful relationships where I loved very deeply and I was loved very deeply in return, I have a very changed perspective of marriage for myself, but not right now. That's the thing. I still the idea of marriage is really beautiful to me, and I realized something. I really value marriage. Mm-hmm. If I get married, I'm taking that shit with me to the grave.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
You
to
should.
me.
I mean, if you don't come in with that perspective.
Exactly. It's so beautiful. It's one of those beautiful and holy things. I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, even biblically, it is a very beautiful thing. It's very.
Really, in every religion,
it's serious, and I take it very seriously, which is why I don't think I'd ever want it right now because I think I'd mess it up. I'm still very young, and I'm figuring out what I want and what I want to do with my life, and I think I'd honestly mess it up if I got married because I've messed a lot of things up this year, relationship wise. So.
No, it's a growing year.
It's a growing year and I'm young, and so it's whenever I know I'm ready, I'm gonna take that so seriously, and I'm gonna be in a beautiful life-term relationship that I take with me to the grave. But that's just not for me right now. As for other people that are getting married, I love seeing happy, healthy, beautiful feminist relationships.
I'm so happy. Yes.
It is so weird because I've been in 3 weddings this year, and 2 of my closest friends are getting married in December and January that I grew up with, and they're my age, younger than me even. One of them is. So it is super crazy, and they were never the type that wanted to get married. They weren't like talking about their weddings when we were growing up
Yeah.
and stuff. So it is super crazy seeing people my age that I love, that I've grown up with, getting married. So it's not that I'm against marriage, but I'm like, no, you can't leave me. You can't like, don't take her away from me.
Yeah.
You know?
She's
That's
not
just
taken
more
away
selfish.
from you.
So
Yeah.
it feels that way. It feels like
No.
they're being taken away
No,
from me.
they're not.
But
No, marriage is the greatest thing.
I think it's
of all
really
time.
beautiful.
I
I
love
think
it.
just spending the rest of your life with your best friend is really precious.
But at the same time, you don't have to get married. And I mean, if you don't get married, it's like you can still have. I was having this talk with, actually, I'm just going to keep bringing up my coworkers. I mean, you're with them the majority of the day, you know? So
all my best friends are my coworkers.
But one of my coworkers, who I love so very dearly, like I fully mean that, like I love her so dearly. She's a little bit older. It's just so fun working with people, and it's like, you're older than me, but I love you, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, she's not married, she's single, and I feel like what's probably happened with her is that people have asked her so many times, she's like, when are you gonna get married? Are you gonna get married? Do you have a boyfriend? You know, kind of making her feel bad for being single. And it's like, she shouldn't. She's happy, you know? But I feel like it might have made her have a little bit of a defense. So I was telling her about me and Connor, and I was like, I'm so happy. Oh, and she was like, give it a couple of years, you won't be happy. And I was like, what? Wait, why would you say that to me? I mean, we've been married for 3 years now, and I am so happy. And I know there's gonna be a lot more bumps in the road. Like, I'm not dumb to that. Like, I've seen my parents be married, which, by the way, they have an amazing marriage, so shut up. And I brought them up. I was like, actually, my parents still hold hands and like love each other and just want to be with each other all the time. So I mean, you know, she was totally attacking marriage, and I was like, you know, you can be happy in your singleness, and I can say you can be happy in your singleness, and you don't have to get married, while acknowledging that marriage is the best thing ever for me, and I'm happy, and my marriage isn't going to fail. But also, even if it was, why would you
say
be
that?
So rude?
Yeah.
So rude. But no, I mean, I think you can acknowledge that there's different life paths for everyone, and I can be insanely happy in a marriage, and you can be insanely happy single for the rest of your life even, or you can be happy single in a period of life, or you can have kids and be happy, or you can not have kids and be happy. It's like everyone has their own path, and everyone's path is beautiful,
and whatever works for you.
Exactly. And you can be equally happy in both situations, but I can be equally happy in my marriage, and no, it's not gonna fail. Thanks so much. That's all.
Yeah, no, I hate when people tell you what something is going to be like for you. This happens so much for me. Like, as a younger person, I think sometimes it's out of like love or concern or just trying to help you, but people will tell you how things are going to be for you, and you're like, actually no, because I'm me and you're you. And then, you know, as you get older and you look back and you're like, that's not how it was for me, because I made my own journey. I made my own path.
Your own circumstances.
Yeah, and you just gotta do what works best for you.
Yeah.
And your little dream.
Oh, I know. She was telling me I was gonna be like financially ruined because
so
like when you
sad.
get divorced, you're financially ruined. I was like, I'm just not gonna get divorced, but okay. Cries myself to sleep.
She doesn't know you and Connor.
I know.
Like, you know you and Connor.
I love that man. Like, come on, leave me alone.
And I think like I'm such a big supporter of marriage. I mean, statistically,
when it's the right thing to do.
Statistically, but you know, as this magazine says, it's those nominal Christians.
Well, you know who else I think, and I mean, I think that typically these people stay in relationships, but one of my biggest pet peeves is people that go in, like the stereotypical Christian college kid, right? That's just going in looking for a spouse. I think that if you're
you don't know how many
looking,
like that.
oh, I know. If you're walking around just looking everywhere for your spouse, and that's not to say you can't find a good person that way, but I wouldn't recommend it. Like, because if you're just going around looking at every single person as a potential spouse,
it's desperate.
It's very desperate, and it's a really good way to just ignore some massive red flags or ignore, like, you know, being compatible and all that stuff. So I don't know. I feel like that a lot of those people stay in marriage, but they're not happy.
Yeah,
so
because it's based more off of like compatibility, I guess, than like love. Which compatibility is important, but like you mentioned the checklist, but I'm sure yours wasn't as bad.
Mine was more like I like to do stuff with you.
Yeah,
no,
that's
you
good.
Know, so.
I've met some girls like when I first went to college. It was mostly girls that I met that did this, but they had a detailed checklist.
No, mine was not that way. Let me correct
that they
myself.
Wanted in a man. And they were also older too. You said you made yours when you're like 14.
Mine was like mostly a joke, to be honest with you, but also it was like. I love doing stuff with you. Like, we have the same idea of fun. Whereas, like, a lot of people, I feel like, don't even have the same idea of fun, which is fine, you know?
It's just harder to have fun.
I will say to you that while you're dating, if you love the beach and the guy you're with hates the beach. You might be okay with that when you're dating, but when you're married, are you gonna be okay with it?
You're probably will get tired.
You're gonna get annoyed of that, I promise you.
No, that is true. But also, like, I think so much of marriage and dating relationships is just like your heart.
Oh, 100%.
You know, it's not even like the checklist of all these girls. They have like a most detailed checklist.
Which is,
and I was like, y'all, the people I've fallen in love with, I never saw myself fall in love with them.
Which is so important.
Like, there was
So
that just
important.
emotional pull.
And I fell in love with Connor before he checked my box.
But it's important to have standards. You know, have your standards. Don't lower them. But
I agree.
He met all your standards.
He did.
Make sure they meet all your
and
standards.
More. Like,
standards and checklists is different.
Standards I didn't even know that I had too.
Yeah, it raises the standards.
You know,
That's the
where
best.
It's like, wow, you're so cool. You know.
Yeah.
So things I didn't think I'd find, or like, really, he's just my adventure buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
as it should be.
He's my best friend and my adventure buddy.
I'm
sorry. I'm not trying to make this sappy and gross.
It should be the person that you want to do all the fun things with, but also like your home and your safe place. You know?
Yeah.
Like I heard like this quote that said, "Find someone who's your home and your adventure all in one."
Yes.
And that's not
He's exactly that. I love him so much.
Oh, we can get him as a guest star on here.
I'll just talk good about him the whole time. Like, Connor,
you'll just be sitting there like,
tell me why you're so amazing.
Little puppy dog guys.
No, he's awesome. He's so cool.
That's so cute.
No, but anyway, to answer your question 20 minutes ago, that's why I got married.
That's why because she's crazy about him. You could have just summed that up in one answer.
I'm crazy about him.
Because I felt helplessly and desperately in
my
love.
mind. Yeah. When you ask the question and it stresses me out, I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not good at thinking on my feet.
No.
So.
I'm like, let me tell you my whole life story.
Let me ramble and go on the trail.
Literally.
No, we love men that changed our belief on men.
100%.
I'm thankful to the men
I
in my
would
life.
probably be a lesbian that's not attracted to women right now.
You would have just been asexual. You would have just not been talking to anybody.
Nobody.
You would just been living this best single
I
girl
just
life.
have like a best friend roommate.
Yeah, that's probably what I would have done. My best friend would have. She's getting married, so she's leaving me. But
Okay.
It's fine. But we would have been roommates together and never talked to men.
Yeah,
but you know, I fell in love, and they were good men. So
yeah,
all the love
thank
forever.
Thank you for changing our perspective and
For real,
everything.
you appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know what we'd do without you. Where do we go from here?
I think we've talked about everything that we need to talk about. We've covered the magazine,
which I'm proud of us for. We did the magazine, like we did a full episode on the magazine.
I know. I think we made some good points.
Yeah.
We do want to get to purity culture at some point.
Yes, which is very deep.
Next week,
we've talked about this before. It's like such a deep
topic. It's complicated.
Some stuff we don't even have full opinions on. But I'm fine with talking about stuff that we don't have full opinions on.
Yeah.
I mean, we can kind of develop our opinions and
exactly because we're still learning and growing too.
We are. And
where we were at 3
change.
years ago, we are so different today. So we'll be in such a different place 3 years ago.
I'm so curious to see how much we change. Like
me too. Looking back on this,
will be fun. Yeah, we'll be like, we hate ourselves.
No.
We're actually sexist in 3 years.
No, it's not gonna happen. I think we'll just continue to grow in love and standing up for equality, which is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Getting people out of the box.
Yeah.
Get out of the box. Nobody belongs in a box.
100%. If you agree with us, first of all, let's be friends. If you disagree with us, let's talk. Come on. Like, I'd love to talk to you.
We have an email on our YouTube and I believe our Spotify.
Yeah, it's 2 people in a white box. Or is it?
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
We will be having our Spotify with the podcast episode, and then we'll also have the video on YouTube.
Yes. Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. It's 2 People Podcast, and then our name is 2 People in a White Box, obviously. Lots of ways to reach us, lots of ways to get in contact,
be
lots
our
of ways
friend.
to listen to us or watch us, whatever you would do.
If you want to be a guest on the episode and debate us. Hey, if you
Email
disagree
us.
with us or agree, you should be on an episode and debate us.
Please do. We would love that. We got room in here.
That would be awesome.
We've got room in the box.
Yeah. There's 4 more seats in the box. Or there's 2 more seats in the box.
In this podcast.
I can do math.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I think that's all we have for today. Stay tuned for next week for Purity Culture. We're going to have some reactions to videos and maybe bring some other books or articles that we can also react to and discuss. It's going to be a fun ride. Feminism, all things women's issues, life issues. We'll probably branch away at some point. I want to get into reading some poetry talking about some poetry maybe.
Yes, I would
my
love to. This girl
specialty.
can write poetry so well.
Well, I could even go on rants about other people's poems, like break it down, like explain it. Like, there's a lot that we can do on here.
Reactions to
if you
poems.
have any ideas, if there's anything you want us to talk about that we didn't talk about, email us. Like I said, emails on YouTube and Spotify, 2peopleinthewhitebox@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for listening.
Yes,
Tune
I'm
in
Elise
next
Sandlin.
time. I'm
Join
Caitlin
by.
Osteen. Thank you for joining us on Two People in a White Box.
And see y'all next time.
Bye.